and a warm welcome to Laughing Matter, the classic comedy show. I'm Mark McCaighey, your host for the next hour, and I do hope that you can stay with me as we have a great programme lined up for you, which includes an interesting insight into this great sitcom.
Railwayman, window cleaner, security guard.
Oh, no. I've been a disappointment to you. I brought you nothing but unhappiness.
I'm not unhappy.
Your mother said I would, and I have.
I'm not unhappy, Frank. I'm very happy. In fact, I've never been so happy.
Sometimes I think I should go far away.
Oh, I don't want you to go far away. I want you here with me.
Do you really?
Yes. But not all day. I want you to get a job as well. I would like you to find your proper position in life. Couldn't you go back in prison?
No.
Why not? They always need prison officers. Perhaps if you wrote to the governor...
He's unemployed as well now. He got the sack after my bit of trouble.
You had your uniform, and you were always meeting interesting people. You looked after that famous bank robber, didn't you? His picture was in all the papers.
It was when he escaped.
Yes, you were very careless there, Frank.
I was only carrying out instructions. The governor told me I should try and help the prisoners.
Yes, but you were holding the ladder.
They lied to me, Betty. They told me they wanted to get their football back.
It doesn't take 47 men to get one football. Honestly, you must have known what they were up to.
I got all confused. There was whistles blowing and people shouting, harassments on all sides. I didn't know what to do. Anyway, they got them all back. I don't know what all the fuss was about.
It's your trouble, you just can't make decisions.
Look, there's a whole page full of jobs here.
You don't qualify for those. Those are for executives only.
Anglo-American Oil Company.
Look at this. Is £3,000 a year enough for you? If not, why not develop it in public relations?
What's that?
Well, a public relations officer is someone who gets on with people and doesn't annoy anyone. Develop your executive abilities and grasp the key to success at the Watson School of Friendly Persuasion.
That's only an advertisement.
Yes, but £6,000 a year, Frank. I mean, just think of it. And it's only a 5-day course. It could be your big chance.
Now, look at that address. I'm not going all out there.
Oh.
Going back to school, that's silly.
Oh, please, just consider it.
I've made up my mind, Betty, that's final. You see? I can make decisions when I have to.
Some mothers do have them there, and we'll be hearing more from Frank and his less hapless alter ego, Michael Crawford, in our feature on that classic sitcom later in the show. Also on the programme, we'll be joining that ever-popular double act, Morecambe and Wise, for an interview that the pair gave to Michael Parkinson back in 1973. And we'll have our Laughing Matter Top 10 list as well. But first a song, as we join Terry Scott for a spot of sibling rivalry.
Four, there's something funny around here. What is it? Oh, it's you. Come here and sit down. You're going to have the truth told about you and put on record. Here, please do not sit too close to me. I've just had my breakfast. Thank you. Who put salt in the sugar bowl? Who put fireworks in the coal? Who put a real live toad in the hole? My brother. Who put jam in mother's shoe? Who made real caterpillar stew? Who locked Grandad in the loo? My brother. My brother said it wasn't he who put shampoo in Grandma's tea. My brother said that it was me. My brother's rotten. Who squeezed toothpaste round the hall? Who put soot in the baby's ball? Who drew things on the garden wall? My brother. You ought to see what he drew. Oh, what a surprise. Nobody knew what it was really, but everybody had a jolly good idea. And he wrote slogans. Down with young mothers, that was one. Because he don't think my mum knows how to bring us up right. I don't think so either. You know, every night when we're wide awake, she makes us go to bed. And then in the morning, when we're fast asleep, she makes us get up. Whose pet mouse made Auntie shriek, who ate glue and couldn't speak. What clever dick was sick for a week? My brother, who keeps maggots in a tin, plays the twist on his violin. Who's been getting at the gin? My brother, he looks just like a chimney sweep, but dirt, they say, is just skin deep. I know he's good when he's asleep. But you don't know what he's dreaming about, do you? Who wouldn't mind if I ride his bike? Who lets me shoot his gun if I like? Who says I'm best at football, ludo, snakes and ladders, hide and seek, chasing each other up and down the garden, pinching little girls up the high street? Well, he's got to say I'm best because I'm bigger than he is, and if he don't say I'm best at everything, I'll bash him. Ha ha! My lovely, lovely brother. Come on, mate, let's get out of here before you fall down the hole in the middle. Come on, give us your hand. We're going to walk. Here, what have you had in your hand? Have you? 4.
Terry Scott there with his classic from 1962, My Brother. Someone else having problems with his brother is Rodney Trotter from Only Fools and Horses. In this clip, Rodney has taken up the pen. Unfortunately, though, his creative flow has ran out of ink. But he needn't worry. With Dell, the Will Shakespeare of Nelson Mandela House at hand, what could go wrong?
Here. Here, Oscar. Here, quick. Come on here. Got a present for you. Here you are.
What is it?
Go on here. Close your eyes.
Oh, come on, Dale, what is it?
Come on, close your eyes.
Let Tom stop, I don't have to put up with all this.
Right, come on in. Open them. There you are. Well?
Well, yes, typewriter, isn't it?
You see that, Albert? He recognised it straight away. That's the author in it. Yeah, well, come on, Rodney. Come on, let's get going, boy. You'll soon have that old screenplay knocked out now, won't you? My son. Go on. There.
It's old, isn't it?
Made stuff to last in them days. That is quality, Rodney. Look at that crest, by royal appointment.
Oh, yeah. Victoria Regina.
Well, go on.
What?
Go, you know, try, eh?
Very faint, Dale, isn't it?
Yeah, I know that. You've got to hit it harder than that, Rodney. Go on, have another go.
It's still faint.
Yeah, well, you've got to give it a good whack, haven't you? Come here, look, I'll show you, look. There you are. There you are. Look, that's better, isn't it? Look.
Yeah, that's great, thanks a lot.
Right, that's all right. Away you go, then.
Way I go what?
Well, you know, start the old typing.
Yeah, be creative.
I can't just be creative at the drop of an hat, can I? There are certain things a writer needs before he can actually start writing. Like a story.
You ain't even got a story?
Not exactly. I've only been trying for a couple of days, haven't I?
Listen, I've got an idea for a story, and it's a bloody good one and all. Do you want to hear it?
No, not really, Dale.
That's charming, isn't it? You buy him a brand new typewriter and come up with a story for him, and what thanks you get?
I'll tell you what thanks I get, Albert. No sodding thanks. That's a thanks I get.
All right, tell me your story then.
No, don't bother yourself, Rodney, please. I was only trying to help you,
Oh,
mate.
no, come on, honestly, Dale. Seriously, I'd like to hear your story. Well, I'll need a bit of help, don't I?
Right. OK. Now, this is a Jaws-type story.
Jaws?
Yeah.
Jaws has been done, though.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been done, but this is different. It's called There's a Rhino Loose in the City.
There's a loose in the... As in rhinoceros.
That's right. There's a rhino loose in the city.
What's it about, Del?
Well, it's about... You see, this rhinoceros, right, escapes from the zoo and it heads straight for London. right? And after 2 or 3 days, they find all these, like, dead bodies lying about, and no one knows who's done it, right? So they get hold of this private detective, you know, sort of like a Charlton Heston type geezer, to try and solve the crime. Now, the zookeeper happens to be, you know, a very attractive woman. So, before you know where you are, old Charlton has given the salt what for. So, that's your romantic interest.
Rhinoceros.
But I don't know it's missing.
Well, how can you not know? Hell, if you've got a rhinoceros, right, and one day it ain't there, you tend to know it's missing.
Don't be a plonker all your life, Rodney. I mean, she ain't got one rhinoceros. She's probably, like, got, you know, two or three rhinoceroses.
And how's he escaped?
Oh, squeezes through the bars, most probably.
Don't you start getting saucy with me, Rodney. I'm only trying to help you.
I can't believe nobody knows he's escaped. What about the 8 million people living in London? Don't none of them spot it?
Yeah, but the ones who spot it, they're the ones who gets trampled to death.
And what about all the others? The people in offices, the people in cabs, the people sitting on tops of buses. It's a rhino, Del.
He only comes out at night.
What is it, a vampire rhino?
No, it's not a vampire rhino. That's stupid, that, isn't it, eh?
Where's he live during the day?
In a lock-up garage in a back street.
Well, he's leasing it, is he?
Not leasing it, it's a disused garage in a back street where no one ever goes. But the detective does find it, only it's at night.
And the rhino's gone out?
That's right. See, so the old detective is nowhere near solving the mystery. You see what it is, Rodney? Not only is it a love story, it's a whodunit.
Who done it? What do you mean, who done it? We know who done it. The rhino done it.
So I know that we the audience, right, we know that, but they don't know the actors, do they?
Oh, this is something... A rhinoceros has escaped from the zoo. There are 300 dead bodies covered in rhinoceros footprints. There's a lock-up garage 2.5 foot deep in rhinoceros crap, and Charlton Heston suspects the butler.
Well, I do admit there are 1 or 2 teething snags. But it's got all the essential qualities of a hit, hasn't it, eh? I mean, it's got suspense, lots of killings, and a bit of Humpty Dumpty. Yeah, I mean, look, this is a disaster movie.
Disaster? It's a calamity, guys.
Why is he killing people?
Well, what do you want it to be, a social worker? Well, he's a man-eater, isn't he?
No. Rhinoceroses aren't carnivorous. They're vegetarian.
All right. So we elbow the lock-up garage and we make him hide in the back of a health food shop.
And he wouldn't head for the city, neither.
But he's got to head for the city so he can kill lots of people.
Yeah, that's right.
No. His natural habitat would be the open country.
All right, so what are you suggesting? We call the film There's a Rhino Loose Somewhere Out in the Sticks Where No Sod Lives.
You don't call the likes of Charlton Heston in because something's eating the carrots.
No.
I think it's a good idea.
Thank you very much, Elba.
Yes, well, I'll pass.
All right then. Just wanted to put an idea in your head, that was all. Wished it had been a bleeding bullet now.
Oh, I've only got a small budget, haven't I?
I know, that's the beauty of it, Rodney. I know where there's a rhinoceros going cheap.
Why do only fools and horses work? La 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 la.
David Jason, Nicholas Lyndhurst and Buster Merrifield there trying to tap into their creative side in Only Fools and Horses. Now, of course, Dale and Rodney were big in the 80s and 90s, but one comedy duo who were enormous in the 70s was Morecambe and Wise. Their television career ran for 30 years, ending sadly in 1984 with the death of Eric Morecambe. But it was back in the 70s that these Sunshine Boys really shone, attracting record-breaking TV audiences with their BBC shows, especially the Christmas specials. The 1977 one being a prime example, when they pulled in viewing figures of almost 29 million, more than half the UK population at the time. What we'll hear now, though, is an interview the pair gave to Michael Parkinson on his show back in 1973, in which they spoke about their careers and how they got started in show business.
How young in fact were you when you went on stage, first of all?
On stage? Do you mean professionally or actually right at the beginning?
Well, like now. Yourself?
Oh, seven, yes. I used to perform with my father, do a double act in the clubs all over the country.
Really?
That's what we used to do. Yeah.
And what were you doing? I mean, what kind of double act was it?
I was doing was a very good double
It
act.
was, it was. I never saw it, but I've heard about it. It was very nice. Do a bit.
Well, what used to happen was that I used to do a
He
club
worked with his dad, you know.
This is very sentimental and very dear to me.
Yeah, of course it is.
Well, my dad and I used to go around the clubs.
What was the name? You used to have a name.
Yeah,
for the
we used to
act.
be
No,
called
seriously.
Bert, Carson and Kid.
Yeah. He was Bert Carson.
Yeah. And we used to do this. I used to do hit
His father
numbers.
was a midget, you know. I mean, really, I know.
I used to do hit numbers like I'm knee deep in daisies, I'm knee deep in daisies, and head over heels. And then I used to do a clog dance.
Oh,
And the little legs used to go.
Just steam and fur was burning. It was fabulous.
Then we used to do It Happened on the Beach at Ballybally, Winter Wonderland, and then we had the big number at the end. My dad used to put on a white sort of suit, black up, like a minstrel, and he used to sing Little Pal. I was on his knee there.
Yeah.
I was only about that
Lying
big.
down asleep.
I was only about that big, wasn't I?
Yes.
You've got to
Not
say.
much bigger now.
I feed him.
Well, why not?
Why not? And he used to sing, Little Pal, if Daddy goes away, promise that you'll come back some days. And then I used
He
to...
didn't sing it like that, did he?
No, I was just shortening a bit.
Oh,
It
did
gets
he?
boring. You see.
Oh,
He used to
no,
do
no,
nine
it's
and a half choruses. Then I used to say, if someday I should be on a new daddy's knee, don't forget about me, little pal. And that's like, great.
Fantastic. Then drop him and run.
Yes. it was up the back of my jacket. It was
Can you match that as an experience when you first started?
No, my dad's a tall fella. Yes. No, I started off on amateur concerts. I started off at Miss Hunter's dancing class over the plaza at Morecambe. And I used to live at Christie Avenue, you see, at number 43, and our Peggy, she used to live at 23 Christie Avenue, and she came down to be about 1937, and she said, Sadie, that's my mother's name, Sadie. And she said, Auntie Sadie, she used to call her, because she liked her. And she said, Auntie Sadie, I'm going to dancing class. So my mother said, how much is it? And our Peggy said, it's £1. So she said, well, do us a favour, take him with you. You know, keep him out of the way on Saturday mornings. And I used to go, I was the only boy there.
Yes.
Yeah. Seriously. Then I had private lessons. Well, I ended up as the only girl there.
Used to go his hair long then, they were never sure, were they?
No, I can't grow it long now.
What was the first time that you met then?
What? Oh, wait a minute, It was yesterday morning, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I wish you'd introduce us. I don't know who he is.
Where did we first meet now? Was it?
My audition.
Yes, that's right. I saw him give his audition.
I won a Lancashire, it was called a Lancashire and Cheshire contest.
Yes.
In Hoylake,
Yes, that's right.
just outside of Liverpool, where when we worked with Glenda Jackson, funnily enough, she comes from Hoylake.
Yeah, that's right.
Quickly.
And that's right, it was at Manchester, you gave an audition to Jackie.
And I won this competition, and the first prize was an audition in front, no money, just an audition.
Yes,
in
that's
front.
right,
That
yeah.
was the first prize,
And he went on
which
the-
I gave, and he was with Hilton at the time, and he saw my audition.
Yes. But what did you do? Do you remember you had the top out, the
Oh,
better top
well, I
out?
did I did double acts in those days, didn't I? It was
Yes.
Flanagan and Allen I used to do.
Flanagan and Allen he did, on his own.
But by yourself?
Yes.
How do you do that?
I have false legs. It's true. No. I just put this battered top hat on and sing. Ernie, yeah. Okay.
I used to get that.
I used to do that a lot. I still do, yeah. It's a gift, that is.
And then you started the act together, and what clubs and things, was it?
We have worked clubs together, but not
Yes.
a lot, really.
No, we didn't
have
work
Not
clubs
working men's
together.
clubs. not
The
a lot.
first act we did, we started in Youth Takes a Bow, you see, with Brian Mickin. We were both doing singles. I was doing a single act. I used to do Run Rabbit Run. I was all sophisticated then. I had a straw hat and white coat. I hadn't told you about the comedy image. I had a comedy image before that where I wore a bowler hat and a little tash and everything like that. But then I was doing this sort of sophisticated act, and I met Eric in Swansea, actually, didn't I? And
I was doing what they call a droll. I was a droll comic in those days. Used to sing a song called I'm Not All There.
he's still doing it.
I hated it, really, you know, because I'd be, 13, 14, 15. I hated actually singing that particular song because I had to dress up. I had the beret, the kiss curl, the big glasses, and a lollipop, a cut-down coat with a big pin, short trousers, red socks, and suspenders. It was basically a northern idea in those days of comedy, I presume,
Yes.
you know.
The interesting part about that was that I had exactly the same outfit, more or less at
But
the
he
same
wore it
time.
outside, which was ridiculous.
same, but the funny part about it, we had something in common. We both had a very big pin about that size, a big
Yes.
safety pin that used to
Yes.
fasten the jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the other acts who were going around at that time? Were there sort of, do you have any memories of them at all? The other
Clapham
people
Dwyer?
on the
Yeah.
bill?
Clapham Dwyer.
Well, that's well the double acts. We got our double act from. That's
Yeah,
where
excuse
we
me, can I-
do
Yeah.
that. I stopped talking.
I wasn't doing business.
Oh, you're not?
No, we're going to have one.
It's probably neat gin, I should think, is it? No. It's all right. The other act, well, we used to work with other acts on the bill. There used to be
Water.
Moon
Moon and Bentley.
and Bentley. There used to be an act called Moon and Bentley.
Which was Georgie Moon
Georgie Moon.
and Dick Bentley.
Bentley.
And they used to do a double act.
Great act.
They were very funny,
Very
marvellous. And we used to emulate.
Who were the influences, though, on your on your career when you were younger? What about movies?
Oh, yeah, Lowland Hardy.
Lowland Hardy.
They're marvellous.
Yes, well, if honestly, I'm perfectly serious, if you do analyse what we do at all, you will see, I see a tremendous amount of Lowland Hardy. I used to watch Lowland Hardy when I was a kid, and not Stan, the other fellow, Babe. Oliver Hardy. He was the first one ever to use a camera.
Yeah, that's right.
He always looked, can you give me number 3? That's the one. He always used to go like that. Straight, it's a cinema audience, which is fabulous, and
Yes.
you're not allowed to do it now.
Yeah.
They say, we tried to do it in some films, didn't we?
Yes, they did. They wouldn't let us do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
To bring the audience, wound the camera, really.
Oh, wouldn't go on.
And those two, Lowland Hardy, and
Abbott
of course,
and Costello.
Abbott and Costello influenced us greatly, to such an extent that we had American accents.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we used to perform with American accents.
I'm waiting for him to lose his.
Hello there, it's great to be here,
I've got records, seriously, I've got records at home of Ernie and I in early broadcasts in around about 1940, 41, where we are, Abbott and Costello, where we go. I'm a bad boy. And do all that. I listen to him now, I colour up.
Yeah.
On my own, I blush. And he's going, now what are you going to do, Morecambe?
What are you going to... Morecambe, I called him, yeah. What are you going to do now, Morecambe? You can't get away with that, I've all this about...
But we did, though, didn't we?
Yes. I don't think they know what we're talking about, Abbott and Costello. We're getting a bit old.
Yeah.
What was the first time you got to the West End? That was before the war, wasn't it? You got the strike.
Ernie did. Ernie was there before the war.
Well, you're going right... Yeah, well, what happened was I gave an audition to Brian Mickey a long time ago, and I actually went to the Princess Theatre and appeared there in the bowler hat and the little tash, and the little cut-down suit.
Yeah.
Then
And that's
during the war, it was about 1940, we went into striking
we went striking a note.
with
what were you doing there?
Sid Field.
Sid Field,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
And beautiful girls in that show.
Yeah.
Tell me, when you spent a tremendous long time, didn't you, on the road playing all the theatres and this sort of thing after the war. What was that like? Was it, looking back, was it an enjoyable time or what?
Well, I mean, it was tough in the first place. There's different stages of it. You start in the smaller theatres, and then you move into the Moss Empires, which was the big thing. But we were always second spot, and we had to go on there and register straight away.
What about the Glasgow theatres? I mean, they were...
Oh, no, they were tough. Yeah. They were tough. Well, somehow, I don't know why, but they had a thing against English comics, didn't they?
They couldn't understand
I think we helped it.
I remember once going on there, and we came off to our own footsteps.
Yeah.
And the fireman was in the corner, and he said to us, they're getting to like you. He said,
Really?
Yeah, well, we haven't thrown anything.
they hadn't thrown anything, yes. They sat there.
And there's a comic, I won't mention his name, but he fainted, Des O'Connor.
Yes.
I won't mention his name. He actually walked on and went, well, and it was carried off.
Did they applaud him?
Oh, dear.
Any time you're feeling lonely.
And he was that night.
That was tough.
Must have been an extraordinary area to learn the business in that. I mean, survive that, you survive anything, I should imagine.
I suppose so, basically.
Well, the windmill was the same, though.
Was it?
Oh, yes. Worse. Worse. I mean, we followed...
We only lasted a week there.
Really?
I became a nervous wreck. No, we did. Tell him the story. And let me interrupt to get a few laughs.
Well, first of all, we gave him an audition, Van Damme.
He used to go well, it was known by his initials.
Yes.
It was known as VD, wasn't it?
Yes, he was. Really?
It really was.
Yes.
Really?
We were quite shocked, weren't we?
Yeah.
But he
We
was.
just laughed, didn't we?
Yeah. And we gave an audition in a little tiny room, about that big. And he stood there, and watched us do this performance. So we used to do this little run across gags. And the pianist played, and we came on and sang the opening song, How's About a Little Ramble in the Moonlight. And then he came across to these little quickies with an urn on his shoulder. You know, what's a Greek urn?
About 30 bob a week.
About 30 Yes, and some more. He was flabbergasted, and he booked us.
There's a man outside with a funny face. Go tell him you've got one.
The invisible man's outside.
Tell him I can't see him.
Yeah.
You can do all, though.
Yes. Oh, quick, though.
My dad's got no nose. Ask me how it smells. It's terrible.
Terrible.
We're doing that. We're doing them now.
We actually used to have a fishing rod. We used to have a stick with a bit of string on it, with an apple on the end.
Yeah, and
We
throw it
used
over
to
the
throw it
orchestra.
like that, over the orchestra like that. And he used to say, what are you doing?
Fishing.
I'm fishing. He said, well, you don't catch fish with an apple, you catch fish with a worm.
That's all right. The worm's inside the apple.
Yes.
And it took us years to get out of that stuff, didn't it?
And we used to follow an orgy. You can tell him better than me. Oh,
An orgy? An orgy was called...
Well, we
a thing
call it an
called-
orgy.
Well, it's nothing nowadays, you know.
No.
But we called it... I'm going bald, aren't I?
Yes.
We called it an orgy. It was a thing called... I'll have to get one of them.
Yes.
It was a thing called... Lilith.
Lilith.
But we followed this particular orgy where all the girls strip off and they just stand there and they weren't allowed to move, you know, or anything like that. And then we'd be on the side. Setting the props.
With his props, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'd be on the side ready to go on.
Yeah, not looking, because he's very moral.
Yes, very much. And on I'd go singing the opening song.
Yeah,
and
forget the words. And
then he'd come on and do the...
I come on and do the quickest. But the audience then, you see, would all fellas
Yeah.
out there, would, as soon as somebody left the front row, would fight. Yeah, and they climb over each
Climb
other.
over the seats.
They got onto the front row to get close for the next show, because it was a continuous show, 6
Yes.
shows a day. We died, didn't
Yes.
we? Terrible.
I think our opening line was, hello, music lovers.
Yeah.
Hello, music lovers.
Yeah.
But you stood no chance. I mean, they were all climbing over the seats, and you'd had it. I mean, they didn't listen to our witty jokes.
No.
I'll tell you who else didn't listen to either. That was the television audience the first time we did television together. Because I didn't realise, in fact, until I looked up the sort of cuttings on you, this very cruel thing that somebody said about your first television
Logan
series.
Gurley, yes.
Was it Logan Gurley?
Logan Gurley.
Logan
Said-
Gawley, in The People it was, if I'm not mistaken.
And
He said, have you got it there?
No, what you say a nice
Was
one.
it the
Well, no,
Express?
because mine was Venom.
Was it? Are we getting all bitter and twisted now?
Oh, just a bit.
No, it's I mean, if he looks back at it, he must regret the day he ever said it, because he said television is the box they buried Morecambe and Wise in.
That's true,
Yes,
huh?
yes.
I should have said it, you know.
Yes. He said, what's that box in the corner? Is it a television set? He said, no, it's the box they buried Morecambe and White.
I should have done it. There's no
Yes, well, you
argument
should
about
have
it. Yeah.
With a couple of good
Another
straight
one
men.
was,
Yeah.
poor old Alma Cogan, she was with us in that show. It says, Alma Cogan stands out like a rose in the garden of weeds. The other one was, get them off.
Yeah. He was more to the point, wasn't he?
What was the reason for this?
Oh, very simple.
What?
It was terrible.
Really, yeah.
Really? It was terrible. I only wish the BBC had kept the tapes, but they couldn't afford it then. But I wish they'd have kept them, because I'd like to have seen them to see really how...
As a matter of fact, quite honestly, they weren't as bad as what people made out. They were only one a fortnight, half hour on a Thursday night.
That's
weren't
right. And it was the early stages of television. I'm sure they weren't as bad as all that, but now we've no record of them.
It's extraordinary, this relationship you've had over the last 30 years, isn't it? Do you have a social relationship outside the professional one at all, Ernie?
Well, not really. We don't really mix together very much, but we go to balls together and do's, and of course we're working together. We're together so much that
We've been together all day today.
Yes, we don't have
TV, you know.
So we don't really... I mean, Eric, as you know, has got his...
What?
Football.
Oh, football.
Luton
Yes,
Town,
yes.
you know.
Luton Town, you know.
Oh, you're with Luton
You
Town.
thought it was a brass band, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Where were we?
I'm lost.
I can ask you the same question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where were we, in fact? Oh, yes, I know what to ask you about. Was this thing that people always say to you, I'm sure, how would you get these personalities onto your show? I mean, your most extraordinary knack you have of persuading the most unlikely people. I mean, one thing is of Andre Previn, for instance, who came on brilliantly funny, Glenda Jackson, and people like this. I mean, how do you manage it?
Quite simple, really.
Yes.
It's our producer does it, John Hammonds.
John Hammonds, yes.
We say, you'll never get her, you'll never get him. He tugs his mustache, like that. I said, we'll see.
Yes.
Phone, rings them, they say yes.
Yes. But I mean, but ultimately they've got to say yes, and they've got to agree to come on with the two of you, and they know what they're in for.
you know, they're queuing up now to be insulted. And I mean that in the nicest possible way.
Quite honestly, though, I think they know that we will approach it professionally, we won't let them down, and we'll give them a good run for their money.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is.
Yes. Have you ever contemplated splitting up, going your own ways at all?
No.
Not till tonight.
But how does the relationship work? I mean, who decides what's funny? Who decides that...
Well, Ernie does all the business side
Yeah.
of it, and we split the money down the middle, 60-40, because he's very clever.
But you pay less tax.
Well, of course, yeah. Because he gets the 60, I get the 40.
And what about other comedians? I mean, do you have comedians that you look at and you think are very funny that...
Yeah.
Who?
Well, Tommy Cooper, to me, is one of the greats.
I agree, I think he's marvelous.
He's a funny mover, yeah.
And one of the other one to me, who I feel, is the way I'd like to end up in show business. If I could get away, not get away, that's the wrong word, but if I could be like him when I'm his age, that's Arthur Astley. Because I think, to me, he's a gentleman, you know. He's got a wit that I go...
He's very quick.
You know, he's very quick.
But I'm more likely to finish up like him because I'm nearer his size.
But what about the people who really make you laugh, though?
Well, I agree with Eric. I like Tommy Cooper. Very much. I like funny people, movers, not so much talkers. You know, I like funny talkers, but I think comedians should be able to move funny as well, besides talk funny.
Yes. Jacques Tati said that humour begins in the feet for him.
Yes,
and
well, a good comic has to have good legs. I mean
legs.
that more sincerely. They have to have good legs,
Yes.
you know, because they do a lot of walking about.
If you're in a pantomime,
Yeah, in a pantomime.
if you're in a pantomime from 1 o'clock right through till about 11 o'clock at night and you're on your legs, you need good legs.
Yeah, but it's something about the shape of the feet, though. I mean, Tommy Cooper's got this thing. You know, you've got it as well, haven't you?
Not in my feet. I've got very dainty feet, very pretty
Well,
feet.
do you know he only takes a 6?
Yes, I take a 6 on that foot. 11 on the other. So it makes up for it, you know.
And I'm a 6.5. Very tiny feet.
Yeah. What about movies? Because you've made movies, but they've not been as successful by any means, have they? As your television
not always what
work
we
at all?
wanted them to be.
Does he mean films? He means films.
Films, yeah.
Yes.
Movies.
Yes. Because
Not the blue ones.
Oh, the other ones.
The other ones.
yes. What about making other movies, though? I mean, what's the real problem behind making them that you find? Is it a
Words.
question of suitable scripts?
Yes,
Scripts.
words.
Yes, you wonder. I mean, we would like to have made Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. You know? Let's face it.
Or The Odd Couple.
Oh, the Uncover. We would. I mean, those are the films we would have liked to make, but you can't. I met a fellow last.
Does that remind you?
No, yeah. I still met a fellow in the hotel last week, and he said, "Oh, I always watch your shows. I like you." My friend and I used to say, we used to watch you on television and say, "I wonder which one of them's bent." He said, "Charming."
Yeah.
Well, you used to, in fact, do this quite a few scenes in bed together, of course.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
that's it.
Well, that's a Lowell and Hardy influence.
Yes, it's
You
Lowell
see,
and
the point is that Lowell and Hardy did it in those days, and nobody said, "Oh, well, it's effeminate or anything like that." You know, nobody said that in those days.
No, in those days it was before.
They didn't know what it meant.
No, just two men used to sleep together in those days, years ago. But now it's considered wrong.
That's why I don't know whether you've always noticed on these particular bed routines, I basically always make it as mannish as possible by smoking a pipe. True, isn't it?
The earrings
I've
are
never
just
yet met a queer with a pipe. You know?
the earrings are just accidental. Aren't
Oh dear.
they? Oh dear.
What about American audiences?
Oh, a lot of people are saying that.
Yes.
No, I like them. I like them because they're over there.
But in fact, you've worked in America.
We used to do the Ed Sullivan Show.
We did a lot of Sullivan shows.
Yeah, we used to do the Ed Sullivan Show. He introduced us as a three-handed act when we did it. Maury, Canby and Wise.
Yeah.
Really?
Maury, Canby and Wise, yeah.
Felt like a seal act.
Canby and Wise.
So you've no real ambition about going over there at all?
No, quite. As far as I'm concerned, what I'd like to do is I want to stay here. I'm very happy here. I love it here. We earn money here. We're stars here, and it's great. If the Americans or the Americans want us to go over there, they've got to do it here.
Yes.
They've got to buy the shows.
By the shows.
You see, I won't go over there, and I will not say sidewalk. You know, I will not say garbage.
Garbage,
It's
that's rubbish,
pavement,
isn't it? Pavement.
and rubbish, as far as I'm concerned.
pavement.
You know,
It's on glass
and I'm not going to go over there and do that.
I'm just
Except for the money.
The unforgettable Morecambe and Wise there. Our next character was certainly unforgettable. In fact, people who had met him practically drove themselves crazy trying to forget their encounter with this infuriating, accident-prone man clad in a mac and beret. His name? Who else but Frank Spencer. Writer Raymond Allen's creation was one of pure genius, brought to life by the talented Michael Crawford in 22 episodes of Some Mothers Do Ave Em, which ran from 1973 to 78. Frank Spencer is proof positive that sitcom characters can attain a place in the public psyche, immaterial to the few times they were actually seen on television. Of course, repeat airings have helped embed Frank Spencer deeply in the collective consciousness, but the fact that he is there at all is down to the startling work of Michael Crawford's performances. Some Mothers Do Ave Em propelled Michael Crawford from the middle ranks to superstardom. This was undeniably a worthy success. Few people have ever worked harder than Crawford at perfecting their art, and it's arguable that no one else has ever taken so many personal risks to life and limb while doing so. Spencer's penchant for landing himself in spectacular situations caused Crawford to perform some dazzling and downright dangerous stunts in the name of comedy, some of which were unforgettable, from dangling over a cliff edge from an exhaust pipe of a Morris Minor to roller skating underneath a moving articulated lorry. The seemingly fearless Crawford appeared to deem no stunt too risky. But it wasn't all carefully contrived stunts. Crawford also invented a panicky, quivering, manic aspect to Spencer's personality. Writer Raymond Allen was generous in his praise of Crawford and the actor's interpretation of the character. In fact, many of Spencer's mannerisms and verbal ineptitudes were created by Crawford, his movements and tremulous voice giving the character a childlike quality. Sympathetic support for Frank came from his wife, Betty, played by Michelle Doutrice. She was the sensible one who concentrated on being the calm eye at the centre of the storm, while he would explode in all directions. By the end of the second series, the couple became the proud parents of a daughter, Jessica, which Frank naturally doted upon as one child, recognising another. Crawford went on to massive success in London's West End and on Broadway, notably in the productions of Barnum and Phantom of the Opera. But in Frank Spencer he left behind a larger-than-life TV comedy icon who brought pleasure to millions and provided material for a host of TV impressionists many years after he himself had hung up Frank's mac and beret. In the feature that follows, we not only hear from Michael Crawford, but from the show's writer Raymond Allen, entertainer Norman Wisdom, the programme's assistant stage manager Michael Fort, and his daughter Jessica, who appeared as Frank's little girl Jessica Spencer in the classic sitcom Some Mothers Do Ave Em.
Betty, Frank will be late for his interview. Interview? He doesn't go to work, he just goes for interviews.
Yes, I think I'll make a cup of tea before we go. Where's the brown teapot?
We haven't got a brown teapot. We've got a brown handle without a pot. We've got a blue pot with no handle. And a coffee pot without a lid.
Don't go on about it. Do you know, you've done nothing but complain about Frank ever since the wedding. I mean, it's not his fault. Other people break things as well.
Betty, I want my coal shed door back.
I don't know where it is.
Frank's put it somewhere.
Well, if he's put it somewhere, he'll find it, won't he? Before we move into our new flat, we're going to have a special day looking for all the things that Frank has lost during the week. Oh, Mum, Frank is going through a very difficult period.
We're all going through a very difficult period. It started the day he arrived. You should never have married him.
Oh, Mum.
His mother was a bit funny, too.
Mum, Frank isn't funny.
She was always breaking things, just like Frank. And she was so strong. You daren't upset her.
Frank, tea. Oh, Mum, Frank wouldn't hurt anyone.
Well, the vicar's been under sedation since the wedding.
Well, that wasn't Frank's fault. I mean, he slipped on the church steps and the vicar was standing behind him.
He was always slipping and breaking. A family of slippers. That's what they were.
Oh, Mum. Frank, it's your tea.
Well, what's this job you're going for, then?
Pipes.
What?
Pipes are being...
What's he talking about?
Pipes and plumbing and things that go in the bathroom. That's what I'll be selling.
Not to me, you won't. Here. I suppose if you get this job, you'll be moving into your own home.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, Mum, what is it now?
I shall be all alone here.
Oh, no, you won't. You've still got Dad, haven't you? And he'll be home in a couple of months. I mean, poor Frank, he didn't have anyone, not even his funny mother. Funny mother about Frank's mother, wasn't it?
She slipped, Mrs. Fisher.
There! I told you. She was always slipping.
It happened during the carnival. She took a turn on the Sunday school float.
And your father disappeared in Africa, didn't he, Frank?
So Mum always said.
I expect he slipped as well.
Frank, you get your briefcase. I won't have your family insulted.
Now you've let her go.
Oh.
I'm going to be all by myself.
Goodbye.
Oh, my little girl. My little baby.
We don't have to go. You didn't have to come with me, you know.
Oh, I always come with you, Frank.
No, but I'm a bit...
If you take a good look, familiarise yourself, and try and remember some of the prices. You see, you'll have to know the price of everything if you're going to be a salesman. Now, that, for instance.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
Another thing, Frank, don't forget to smile. Leave it in there. You see, you mustn't go in looking worried.
I am worried.
Well, Frank, you just go in there and do your best. And I'll be down here thinking about you.
And I'll be up here thinking about you.
And try and think about your pipes as well, won't you, Frank? And don't forget, smile.
One of TV's greatest losers certainly did make an impression, with 25 million people tuning in every week. However, like everything in Frank Spencer's world, it wasn't all plain sailing.
We had a lot of problems casting it. The original choice was Norman Wisdom.
I had to turn it down because I was filming at that time anyway.
Eventually they got Michael Crawford.
Good evening.
Once you'd seen him give a performance, you couldn't imagine anyone else playing it.
Don't want to be rude because he's very good, but I think copied me a bit. He had to do very little to make the audience laugh. He could do a tremendous amount with just a look or a gesture. He really is a fantastic physical comedian.
I'd put my hands by my side and my fist would always be clenched and go down the side of my leg.
I'm a man.
One day we got this letter from Mary Whitehouse. She was hopping mad. And she said, I think it's a disgrace that this show goes out at a time when children could be watching with a character that could otherwise be so funny, but he is obsessed with his private parts. I didn't know what she meant.
It's marvellous, isn't it?
So we wrote her a very apologetic letter back and told her I tried to behave myself in future.
Goodbye, little fairies. I'm leaving at the double. I'd like to stay for one more day, but I've had a bit of trouble.
Frank Spencer, he was innocent. He was open. He had the innocence of a child. It was childlike, his timing, so that he was always, he'd listen to you with, oh, everything was so exciting. The child never left him. Someone who's very much an introvert, which obviously Frank was, there would be a lot of that body language. That I just felt instinctive about when I started to walk him and create the walk and create the stance and the head down. Because I wanted to use this very light voice for him, I definitely wanted to marry him.
Oh, Frank. Betty.
I liked the idea of him having a wife. It was so outrageous that anyone would have married him, and he met this lovely girl.
Betty, I know we've had a few harassments, but it's all over now.
Oh, Frank, I'm worn out. I just want to go to sleep.
No, tonight's a very special night. It's our second honeymoon. I've been looking forward to it.
Well, so have I, but... Well, I'm so tired.
Now, you'll feel all right in a minute. Just you relax. I'll take care of everything.
Oh, Frank, put me down. Your eyes are watering.
I want to make this a night to remember.
Oh, I will remember it, Frank. I'll never forget it.
You're not sorry we came?
Of course not. Oh, Frank.
Betty.
Oh.
What sort of woman would marry a man like this? She'd have to be very kind, very sympathetic. And that's how I sort of hope Betty came across.
It was a slightly odd relationship in a way, because obviously there was a more than a hint of mother-son about it.
Everyone gets rejected at some time or another.
But not as often as Frank.
The public adored her. I mean, because they felt for her. Oh, Frank.
I've got a bit of news for you, Frank.
Mm-hmm. Well?
Have you had a nice day?
I lost my job, didn't I?
I'm sorry, Frank, I completely forgot. Could you come and sit down a minute, Frank? There's going to be a little addition to our family.
How do you mean?
We're going to hear the patter of tiny little feet.
Oh, no, Betty. I'm not having another cat in this house. I've had enough trouble with Cleopatra. Last week I caught her scratching the wallpaper over there, and when I told her to stop, she did a whoopsie in my barrow.
I meant 2 little feet, not 4.
A budgerigar? Have you seen her stay to your mother's floor in her sitting room?
Understand, Frank?
There's feathers, muck, everything.
Baby!
Well, you might have asked me first.
I thought you'd be pleased.
No, it's all right, Betty, if you've made up your mind. I won't stand in your way. Just that I don't like you doing things behind my back. I suppose you get it from the welfare people.
What are you talking about?
Look, I know you're not looking after other people's children, but this is different. You'll bring it home, you'll look after it, you'll grow fond of it. You must probably love it. And then one day the mother comes back and she takes it home again. And I don't want you getting upset.
I'm not talking about anyone else's baby. It's our baby. I'm its mother.
In there.
That's right, Frank. You're going to be a father.
Oh. Oh.
Oh. Sit down. You'll be all right in a minute.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm quite sure. That's what I had the appointment for. He confirmed it.
And can he tell? Just by looking at your teeth?
I didn't go to the dentist. I went to Dr. Smedley.
Oh. And he said...
Oh, look, don't talk anymore, Frank. Now sit back. I don't want you being ill. I'll make you a nice cup of tea. Oh, we've got a very busy time ahead of us. I'll put the kettle on.
No, you mustn't do that. You mustn't lift anything.
I'm not an invalid.
We use the little kettle. Betty.
Frank?
It's marvellous, isn't it?
Oh!
I'm sorry. I don't want to do him any damage. Look, why don't you take him upstairs? Give him a little lie down, and I'll bring you up a nice carrot.
No, I'm quite all right, really.
I'm going to be a father. I'm going to be a father with water. I'm a man.
We actually found someone who was called Jessica, and it was our stage manager's daughter.
I think the minute Sid knew that I had an 18-month-old daughter with long, blonde, curly hair called Jessica, it was a done deed. It was non-negotiable.
No wonder I had such a bump. I landed on a camel's hump.
I think you tended to burst into tears every time he came near you, which wasn't helpful.
Jessica would get extremely disturbed by Frank. You'd see her little face looking around the room to wait for me to come in the room, and then it would be like, oh no, he's back in the room again.
He played with the fairies, didn't he? So what did he do? Mummy's having a
It's a
bath.
bit frustrating that my 5 minutes of fame was when I was so young and so blissfully unaware.
Frank, what are you doing?
Yoga. It's supposed to make you relax.
Will you please stop it? You'll do yourself an injury.
I told you yesterday I might be trying out some new positions.
Yes, well, I wasn't quite sure what you meant. Look, what's wrong?
Nothing.
I've just been worried about my last job. I missed that fire engine.
I know, you always missed it. That's why they sacked you. What's wrong?
Nothing.
You haven't damaged yourself, have you?
No. It's just that I haven't felt up to it lately.
Well, when do you think you will, then?
I don't know. I've had a lot of worry, Betty. It's bound to affect our relationship.
It's very difficult to have any kind of relationship if I'm in bed and you're on the floor.
I know. I've been a bad husband.
Oh, no, you haven't, Frank.
And a bad son-in-law. Your mother's never liked me.
Oh, but she will. Our marriage was a great shock to her. You know, she wanted me to marry somebody else.
Who?
Well, no one in particular, just somebody else.
That's nice, isn't it? I get very depressed. I've been going through my whole life. I'm a failure, Betty.
You are not a failure, Frank, and you mustn't go on thinking like that. You'll make yourself ill. Why don't you go and see someone about it? Someone who can understand your problems.
Who?
When I wrote it, I was actually going through a depression myself. So I saw him as a very sad person.
And so he goes to a psychiatrist, and he says, no, exactly why have you come to see me? He says, well, because I'm a failure. He said, no, you're not a failure. Yes, I am.
I told you. I'm a failure.
No, you're not a failure. You only think you are.
And in the end, of course, he is a failure. The guy has a breakdown before Frank finishes. He's had a breakdown. It's not funny.
You were right and I was wrong. You are a failure.
And he's quite happy about that.
I'm a failure.
Oh, really?
He just told me. I'm just going out to tell the wife.
No.
I'm a failure.
I think Frank is one of these born losers. I mean, nothing ever went right for him.
Mate, you remember Mr. Harris from the Deep Pocket Insurance Company?
It's very nice of you to call so quickly.
Normally it would take longer, but my company does regard your husband as a special case.
Ah, thank you very much.
In what way is Frank special?
During the past year, he's put in more claims than all our other clients put together.
Thank you very much. Mr. Harris was the gentleman that called when I wet my carpet.
No, that was Mr. Jones. He handled your flooded carpet and sinking coal shed. Mr. Langford dealt with your gas explosion, kitchen fire and sliding roof. And I called about your cracked pipes, shattered television set and smoking refrigerator. So far, the only thing you haven't claimed for is earthquake damage.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed.
And I think by now, in real life, you'd have probably run out of chances, run out of jobs, run out of friends. You know, there wouldn't be anything left.
Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, what is it, Linda?
There's a Mr. Spencer to see you about the vacancy.
Well, it's a bit late, isn't it? Everybody else came at 11:15.
Oh, Mr. Spencer was here at 11:15, only he just got out of the lift.
Well, it's past 12 o'clock now.
Yes, the maintenance men should have it working again by 1.
Oh, I see. Maintenance men?
Oh, well, they're working as fast as they possibly can. Things should be back to normal quite soon.
Spencer. Oh, yes. That's his application form. And he also enclosed his library ticket. All right, show him in, Linda.
Mr. Spencer?
Oh, good morning, Mr. Spencer. Nice to meet you. Now then, you'll be needing this library ticket.
Oh, have you got one here, then?
One more.
A library?
No, Mr. Spencer, that's your library ticket.
Oh.
Now, Mr. Spencer, I'm not...
I just... Yes.
Mr. Spencer, I'm not quite clear about this application form. In previous occupation, you've answered yes and no.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I have had a previous occupation.
No.
Yes.
No, you misunderstand me. You have written yes and no.
It's, yes, I have had a previous occupation, and no, I haven't got one now.
You're unemployed?
Today I am, yes.
Oh, yes, and yesterday?
Yesterday, I was unemployed as well.
How long have you actually been unemployed?
Oh, it's difficult to remember offhand.
I see. Well, experience isn't really necessary in this job because we can always train you.
I see.
Well, some people we can train. Now, you'd be a company representative, you'd have to travel around, meet people. It would be an advantage if you'd done similar kind of work.
Oh, well, I have done similar kind of work, yes.
Oh, what was that?
I was a postman.
Mr. Spencer, why do you want this particular job?
Well, I feel that it would be an improvement.
Oh, yes, an improvement, I see. An improvement on what?
An improvement on my present position.
But you don't have a present position.
No. But if I did have one, it would be an improvement.
Comedy thrives on misfortune. And, you know, nobody could be as unfortunate as Frank Spencer. He was the most unfortunate man in the world.
He tried and he was honest. He was always honest. And that honesty got him into a lot of trouble sometimes.
That's the best I can do for you.
Yeah, I guess maybe he was a failure, yes.
I'm a real failure.
We end the show now with Laughing Matter's Top 10 list, which stays in keeping with our feature on Some Mothers Do Have Em, as we bring to you 10 indications that you're not one of life's winners. Number 10. You lose at solitaire. Number 9. The only break you ever get is a lunch break. Number 8. Every time it rains, you're where your umbrella isn't. Number 7. You get seasick taking a bath. Number 6. The only thing you've ever had handed to you on a silver platter are sandwiches. Number 5. You can't even catch a cold. Number 4, black cats run a mile. Number 3, your artificial flowers wilt. Number 2, you ask your partner, did they miss you? And they reply, why? Did you go somewhere? And the number 1 indication that you're not one of life's winners is when your ship comes in, you're at the airport. This has been Laughing Matter, your smile on the dial. Written, produced and presented by Mark McCaighey. Until next time, bye-bye.